Happy New Year, everybody! It's been a fun ride with tons of anime to watch, many of which has become a fan's favorite, popularity rose, and get the recognition they wanted. However, not all anime will have the same share of viewing, whether it's due to first impression leave them unimpressed, synopsis doesn't interest them, or not enough words are spread. We know the likes of popular mainstream series, but there are others that deserve your attention. Therefore, we're going to focus on the 5 underrated anime of 2018. Now, this is tricky. Realistically, it's hard to declare an anime as underrated. It's easy to tell overrated, but underrated? Not so much. There are many instances where Japan audience love an anime that USA seems to dismiss it, and vice versa. Therefore, I decided to use the member count system from my anime list. By no means, this is not an accurate count of fans worldwide. I'm simply using the number to narrow down the search. I used to do 5 anime that surprised me. Lately, there has been plenty, especially 2018, so I decided to go with underrated. The anime I chose have under 100,000 members in record. In other words, it has to be under it to qualify. In all honesty, this list shouldn't be seen as top 5. Rather, the 5 choices. There's no real order. Simply see it as the selection I chose. This is 5 underrated anime of 2018 based on Mao. I don't know if I should be happy or upset. Happy to talk about it, upset to realize how many people skipped this gem. Well, more like the series name, but let's go over. Taking place after the Russo-Japanese War of the Meiji era, the words are spread about the hidden gold rush treasure, waiting to be found. Sugimoto, who earned the nickname Sugimoto the Immortal, embarks his journey to find the gold, hoping to save his deceased comrade's wife. He then stumbles upon Aspida, an Anu girl, who saves him from the cold climate. From there on, they work together to search and survive. When you think about it, it's similar to One Piece, only there are pieces of a map that pinpoints the location. The twist is, the piece is the prisoner's tattoo. The survival aspect is one of the best parts. Not only they have to find the bad person, but they have to fight against them to recover a piece, even if they have to cut their skins off. That's sickening. It also involves with many other people, including the military. It gives a lot of variations of troubling yet exciting situation. The characters are arguably the best part of the series. There are plenty of fun, amusing, and interesting characters. Sugimoto is a fun, badass protagonist that is worthy of his nickname when going against the odds. Aspida is helpful in many ways, whether to educate about her culture or to preserve helpful survival tips. Not to mention, she can withstand on her own as well, far less than a burden. There are many other characters like Shirashi, the man who can escape just about everywhere in a ridiculous manner, or Ogata, who I can't say, but he's interesting for a reason. Some can be really strange, but that's really part of the charm. The other strong factor towards characters are the chemistry and interactions, some of which are unexpected, but 2 or more click, and suddenly they become best of friends, or worse of enemies. The standout is Sugimoto and Aspida. The two share their experiences and learn together, like watching 2 cultural people sharing their tradition. The term Hina is one of the most charming words to be said in anime, leaving you feeling warm and calm. They have their ups and downs, and the 2 complements one another. The comedy is some of the best as well. While there are plenty of segments that were skipped, we'll talk more about it later, the ones that are presented are hilarious. The expressions can catch you off guard, especially when the series does tend to go dark. Some of the images are definitely strange, but I won't ruin it for you. The ending left on a good spot, giving the fans a chance to read the manga. But there's more that needs to be done. I can't be that upset about how the series didn't boom based on Mao. The anime is amusingly good, but it's not the best representation of the manga. It did cut off a lot of parts, including one with a hidden tattoo. It had to rush to get to the best part, which is unfortunate to skip many great characterizations and clever foreshadows. The animation is another downside. It's good art-wise, though not the best capture of its intended atmosphere. Some of the action scenes are a bit sluggish. Of course, I have to mention the bear that is almighty real. I'll bet that's the deal breaker. It does upset me when at the convention I received many people not knowing the series. I don't blame them honestly, but I wish it has a stronger reputation. If you haven't watched the anime and want to catch a glimpse of the series, go check it out. Despite many missteps, the characters are well presented. If anything, think it as Tokyo Ghoul. By that, I mean please check the manga. It's well worth your attention. I watched this with the expectation of fun entertainment with Monster of the Week concept. I got more than that, and I'm happy to digest it all. A high school student, Yuta Hibiki, wakes up with an amnesia. Later, he meets Hyper Agent Gridman, who is inside an old computer. Suddenly, a random monster attacks the city. With the motivation to find his memories and fulfill the unknown purpose, Yuta, alongside with Rika and Sho, work together to prevent destruction. My first thought before watching was, hey, it's Trigger animation work. This kind of concept could work well to their style. While that remains true, the director decided to go beyond with the characters, the theme, and the presentation. Thankfully, the payoff is good. I don't know if it's true about the report on Japan audience feeling upset at USA audience for ignoring this series, but after watching this, I couldn't blame them. The series does begin with the usual Monster of the Week routine, and I can see why everyone would think it won't be any more than that. It doesn't help with the animation isn't Sakaga happy in his action phase with the use of CG. That's why, first impression, is not the best impression. The concept remains true with each episode containing a new monster, but it's the theme and purpose behind it that makes it compelling and in some ways rewarding. Not only does it provide a moral of the week, but it also progresses the story and develops the characters. Arguably, it's a show that gets better and better with every episode. The action is enjoyable to watch since it serves a purpose outside of entertainment. Even when you have a recurring enemy, it amounts to something important in the long run. What surprised me is the characters. It's not that they are groundbreaking or anything, but it's solid and engaging. While there are perks that are supernatural, they act human. It's worth mentioning that this is based on an old live series, so it's probably the reason why they are treated as such. The one who stands out the most, hero-wise, is Rika. Honestly, I think she's among the best heroine that Trigger has developed. She's relatable, friendly, and downright supportive. I am well aware of the creator's attention of the two female characters designed to be pleasing. Aside from one episode, the fan service is minimum, far less distracting than usual Trigger series, as we'll take care of that, but that's okay. So long the show itself is minimum, that's fine by me. The presentation is also a surprise, but not due to animation. It's cinematography that impressed me the most. In one episode, the director did a swell job on deciphering a character's deconstruction. It was so good, I began to feel bad for that character. There are plenty of other instances, and they are really good. The CG is actually pretty solid. There is one time that screams vintage Trigger, and it is a blast. Bottom line, this series is one of the more surprising work of Trigger that should be seen by many. If you can pass the CG or the concept of weekly monster routine, then you will have a fun ride. Honestly, I'm glad this series was made. I'd rather choose this as Trigger's best of the year over Darling. We'll talk about that one day. It's no land of luxuries for CG done right, but it's worthy for it. Don't judge the book by its cover. Yakichi Haru is a hardcore gamer, solely play video games for a living. One day, a popular rich girl named Ono Akira plays a fighting game arcade against him and dominates. Every game he plays, she plays better. Thus, his self-proclaimed rivalry begins. What started a childish rival will slowly become a teenage romance. It's basically a romantic comedy with a couple of special perks that stand out. It starts comical with many references to video games, most notably Street Fighter 2. Each passing episode contains a video game reference, including an insight of its control and origin. As a gamer myself, this speaks to me wholeheartedly. However, it's not just the video games that makes this anime enjoyable. It's the story between these two kids that grow around it and then some. There are plenty of relatable notes that speaks to me as a person. Even if you are not fond of gaming, the story holds up well to connect you with the upbringing romance. Yakichi starts off obnoxious, but it is intentional. After all, he's only a 6th grader. Later on, he grows up, and while there are traits that still make him foolish, the story takes him down the road where you may say, he reminds me of myself. It's not that romance becomes his interest immediately. It takes its time to develop him as a mature person in every sense. When it comes to romance, it's really sweet. Ono is a mystery girl, for she doesn't speak, yet her body language, expressions, and reactions are enough to feel sympathy. Although she does hit Yakichi in tsundere manner, the charm remains strong. Personally, I'm glad this series didn't go out of its way to say, video game is bad for you, or leaving video game is the best way to grow up. It acknowledges it as a path for the two to connect and grow. It speaks, no matter what or where, one path or another, a person can change. There are side characters that are likable and charming in their own rights, but it's the two main characters that will absorb all of your attention. When there's a tender moment, it's really adorable. It's all thanks to the slow build from childhood. The ending, I won't give it away, but never would I thought I would be so shocked and invested. The downside for many will be the animation. It's CG all the way, and for Sakuga fans, that is like a sin. It's not the worst, but it could have handled better. There is a couple of moments with sluggish movements, but 2D or 3D, I have seen worse. Still, I don't blame the audience to be turned off at first glance. If you can grow accustomed to it, you'll be fine. In fact, there are moments that actually work to his favor. You can say it is part of the charm. If you're a gamer like myself, you'll find the use of sprites from the video games delightful. It's humorous and in some way clever for storytelling. Call it niche, but this was a surprising series to me. It is a fun, compelling, and relatable romantic comedy story. It's a silent voice, minus the depressing tone and video games addition. It's on Netflix right now. Definitely worth a binge watch. It's more than a Yuri's genre series. Trust me, it can be yaoi or heterosexual romance. Ultimately, it's the storytelling that won me over. Yu has always loved shoujo manga. So much so, she waits for a boy to appear and confess his love. Just like in Shoujo. Unfortunately, when the time comes, she feels nothing, disappointed and lost. Now in high school, she encounters a popular girl, Nanami, who approaches her with a surprise confession. It may not be the ideal shoujo scenario with a boy, but maybe this is the moment she has been waiting for. I haven't watched many Yuri series, and in-your-window moments like in Slice of Life series don't count. They tend to focus heavily on romance and at times strongly emphasize the unlikely pair with the same sex. This one is more than that. If anything, the fascination of unlikely scenario ends with you being surprised with Nanami's confession. After that, the romance works normally. It doesn't try to shock the world with same-sex pair. The main priority is to decipher these two characters as individuals. It's not just how the two will work as a pairing, especially since Yu wants to take it slow and see where it is heading to. It is how they can come to realize themselves as a person. The premise would have you acting all shocked and scared, but instead it goes with the serious approach of curiosity and wonderings. Yu isn't silly or dim-witted, so she can speak to many people who has the similar problem. Nanami is a really interesting case. I won't go into deep details, but she is the one that will leave you wondering her route. She is an ideal girl, someone a boy would love to date with, someone a girl will idolize with. However, there's more beneath it that is frightening in its own right. You and Nanami as together can be charming, yet saddening in some ways. You have to see it for yourself. It's the core of the series. The characters are portrayed realistically, but not much so that it's trying to be too deep. They can have amusing moments in some of the charming and comical scenes, like how Nanami wants to grab a book that just so happened to involve with exotic Yuri romance, yet she was completely oblivious to the content until she reads it herself. The reaction is funny. Other characters have their own share of problems, not coincidentally involving with same sex, outside of one, but her backstory is reasonable and she is overall nice. You may think it's a simple problem that you're just waiting for everything to work out fine, although there's nothing wrong with that as it can still provide a good outcome. This one is more complex. It's due to one episode that changed my view on the series entirely. After that episode, for whatever I thought is sweet, I go, aww. That soon follow up with, aww. I found myself having a hard time with the relationship, but for a good writing's intention. The ending is more of a no recap to remind yourself what's there to take care of. Regardless, it leaves on a pleasant note. The art is pretty solid for the most part. There are moments that has a really good meaningful metaphor imagery that not only speaks for the character, but sends the audience to the mood they are portraying. Whether it's terror, fear, or even beautiful, the soundtrack is soothing, capturing the right tone for the lighting atmosphere. It's a pleasant, emotional, investing series. Whether there are references towards Yuri, like not thinking a friend will be into that, it doesn't hammer in the fact it does exist. It is the story of these characters first, then anything else next. It's definitely one of my biggest surprises when I picked this up. Watch it and see how a love story truly bloom. I knew there's a reason why I like musical, and this series elevates that. Back in childhood, the two friends Karin and Hikari made a promise that they would one day become the theatrical stars together. Now in high school, Hikari returns from overseas, reunites with Karin. However, things take a turn when they are invited to a mysterious audition. The two will enter that audition, compete with others under the same dream of performing on stage. I have to admit, I was thrown off guard from the very first episode. I was under the impression that it would be a normal grounded musical with students singing and dancing, your normal school slice of life. Towards the end, however, Karin finds his gateway to the mysterious audition, and then my mind erased my first expectation. Not only there are battles with weapons, but there's a talking giraffe. Need I say more? How could I have known? This is an original work. After that funny revelation, I find myself thoroughly enjoyed the show. The premise is simple. The 12 girls compete with each other, and whoever scored the highest after multiple rounds wins a wish. No worries, there's no blood as they only aim for the ribbon to cut off to win the round. That all said, it's strikingly captivating. One of the best part is choreographed. The action can be fun to watch, but the setting and stages are what makes it appealing. Since it's a musical, they will sing and fight that captures the tone of their surroundings. Essentially, it's like watching an actual musical. The music itself is pretty good as well. Like many musical, it's based on the characters themselves with the portrayal of their mood and issues. It complements neatly with choreograph, making it appealing to watch. The animation is pretty damn good as well. It has a really good blend of 2D characters with 3D background animation at times. The camera work is also impressive. Once again, it's like watching an actual musical. The best part is the characters. It's not because they are unique, it's because the way how they present themselves is splendid. There are 12 characters to follow, and while that can throw some people off from the get-go, the narrative focus on each one while the key focus remain on Karin and Hikari. With that said, each of the characters have their own personality, goal, and issue. It's how the series to present and develop the character as a whole, though you will get some hints and foreshadows of other characters before their turn comes, one in which has a clever twist that is hinted along the way. While not unique, the payoff is really good. Even before a character gets their focus, they are likable and charming as friends, including one that could have been a show-off or unfriendly. That all said, it isn't satisfying without the musical portion. It's there where it completes them. Whenever they have a problem or wants to address their personality as a whole, they undergo a musical note. Depends on the character. The setting illustrates them. It makes the development appealing. Hence, the way they present themselves is the best part. It's a captivating musical anime that I'm glad I searched. It doesn't have much members at MAL, which is somewhat upsetting. It's the reason why I shout support at the convention. Well, not really. Whether these series will get more people to watch and enjoy or not, I am glad to find these gems and enjoy it to the end. That's why it's great to search around and find the one you least expected. These are my 5 underrated anime of 2018.